in Nashville, Tennessee. You are listening to the Nashville Daily Podcast.
Joining us in studio is Dr. Michael Caldwell. Dr. Michael Caldwell has been on the podcast a few times. The very first episode we had you on was right at the beginning of the COVID pandemic here in the city of Nashville. And we recorded that episode inside of the Entrepreneur Center. I remember that day very vividly. And Dr. Caldwell, you are currently at Meharry Medical College. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Wow, it's so great to be back here. I love our community just like you do. So I am currently now an associate vice president of vaccine research and education at Meharry Medical College, working with Dr. James Hildreth, the president. I also teach medical students. I'm building a partnership to expand clinical research with Meharry and a small private company called Clinical Research Associates. That's going really well. We are having 4 medical students working with me this summer to advance that. We're hoping to create something called the National Center for Clinical Trial Diversity, and hope to talk more about that soon. Also working on helping Dr. Hildreth to build the very first historically black school of global public health. And we brought in a colleague named Daniel Dawes from Morehouse, who is leading that. And I also am now also the chief medical officer for Dry January USA, which we'll talk a little more about that on alcohol research, education, and treatment.
How many business cards do you have to carry?
Right now.
Are you like going around and you're like, I have 6 business cards. Yeah. They're all color coded per the specific job.
I'm up to 2 right now, but
okay.
It's overall I am so happy to be at Meharry Medical College and to be able to work with President Hildreth and the medical students right now and all the faculty members and the public health students as well, to be able to advance the mission of Meharry, which has been here almost 150 years.
It's one of the oldest schools in the Nashville area.
Right here locally, they keep giving back, and I'm so happy to have found that as a home for me, and couldn't be happier. But yeah, there's so much here. I love everyone I meet. Everyone really has been very kind and community oriented.
Let's talk about the some of the things that you are involved in that you mentioned, because you have a long list. But one of the things that has been on the forefront lately since 2023 has been Dry January USA. How did that land here? Because Dry January USA is brought in, it's imported, but how did that land here in Nashville?
Yeah, Dry January is a program where we try to ask people to put a mirror up to their own relationship with alcohol. It's been a phenomenon for the last 10 years or so, but it actually is also a registered trademark out of England by a charity called Alcohol Change UK. And before I got to Meharry, I saw them launching in other countries, so I reached out to them, actually in the studio.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was here for your first meeting.
I had a Zoom call with the CEO of this organization in London, and we proceeded to have very positive connections, and Dr. Hildreth was very supportive of Meharry trying to use Dry January USA as an opportunity to build the first HBCU center for alcohol research, education, and treatment.
That's cool.
And so since a lot of people sort of know Dry January, even though the majority of people haven't heard about it yet, a lot of people have heard about Dry January. And when we now allow people to see that there is actually a formal home for it, we have signed a sole licensing agreement for Dry January USA. with this organization in England. So you're right. Dry January USA has a home. It's in Nashville, Tennessee. It's at Meharry Medical College, and we're just getting started. So we just launched sort of a soft launch this past January. We have a full complement of social media sites, websites now, so people are starting to know that we're out there. It's Dry January _USA on our Instagram, which has really been probably the one place you could find most information. But we are a national brand representing Dry January for the whole U.S., but we're doing it in a really special way. And there's a lot of exciting developments on how we're going to proceed on that this year. But alcohol is one of those substances that are on the addiction spectrum. People get addicted to alcohol as with other substances, but the attention that our country pays to that alcohol problem is not what it should be. We think.
It's really interesting. Where like there's certain groups of people you go out to eat with, and then they'll all get drinks, and then they like pressure you in a sense. Hey, like, why are you not drinking? It's a really interesting paradigm, but like in other substances, you don't see that type of culture. And so, how is Dry January combating that?
Well, in a few ways, we're really excited about the technological advances in these adult non-alcoholic beverages, so that you can go out and if you want to get a beer or a wine or a cocktail that's a typical adult beverage that everyone else might have, but you could just get yours without the alcohol in it and not look different. You know, oftentimes you might see a restaurant with beautiful wine glasses all out, and once they find out if you're not having wine, they whisk your wine glass away and almost like take away your fun, and you're like put you at the kids' table, and suddenly you look very different to everybody that you're sitting with. But we really would like everyone to have some more sense of equality at the table. And just like it's so common for someone to ask, may I have a cup of decaffeinated coffee or regular coffee, we'd like to see it get to the point where no matter where you go, of course there's options for adult beverages that have no alcohol in it. And we've seen the greatest advances in beer right now. One place in particular in Nashville is Southern Grist. They've done a great job with their beers. They actually have beers on tap that are non-alcoholic.
Wow.
They always have. So they're one of the more welcoming establishments when you figure you're going to a place like that usually never had any non-alcohol beers, and now it's becoming a part of welcoming everybody. So we're hoping that we can educate more people in the food and beverage industry that there's no downside for them to be including more of these options, that they can charge the same amount of money for these.
The profit margin on these things are insane.
Yeah.
Well, it does take a lot to remove the alcohol too.
Yeah.
So, but that versus somebody just getting a glass of water, might be so.
Right. New restaurants want that higher bill. And
they want to push alcohol. I think they just for years have known that that's how you make money in this business, is to sell as much alcohol as possible. So I think it's a learning process for a lot who are in the food and beverage industry to understand that you can get more by actually welcoming more customers who are going to go to be in your establishment, number one. And number two, also that these will provide very similar types of income. So that's one way we're trying to expand people's recognition that you can go out and still have a great time without alcohol. And we're really excited also about the growth in Nashville here with a couple of community members that have, one in particular has started the very first bottle shop that exclusively sells non-alcoholic adult beverages. And the thing about this is just to go to some data, about a third of people have never drunk. They never drink. That's just always been the way they are. So therefore, they will have never acquired a taste for these adult alcoholic beverages. Right? They never had beer or wine. So they probably would not be interested in products that taste like that because they didn't want.
Right.
But for the majority of people who have had this or maybe enjoy that kind of taste, we're going to be seeing more options so people can enjoy it. Now, for people who really are in recovery and are that might trigger them to go back to drinking. That's a small percentage of people, but it is real, and we want everyone to know that these beverages aren't absolutely for everyone. But the data that I've also seen is about 80 to 85% of people who drink the non-alcohol adult beverages, they are drinkers. They just want to drink less. Mm-hmm. So when you think of the ability for people, if they want to have 2 or 3 beers, just to substitute in the same taste but without the alcohol, we're really excited to help people to think about their alcohol use and to try to drink less, because there's really nothing good about alcohol.
Yeah. Do you have any? I think one of the cool things because we were following along with the journey of Dry January, just kind of in its inception here this first year, it seemed like the response was incredible from not only the Nashville community, but even internationally. There are some people who have made some moves in Nashville because of what you guys are doing, even to celebrities who were really talking about Dry January. What was that like with that reaction just in Dry January's inception?
Yeah, well, this is a growing trend. We're so excited to sort of be joining everyone who's been on this Dry January journey now. And we're in Music City, and of course we were trying to identify somebody in the music industry that would work with us, and we were delighted to work with a great artist named Gramps Morgan, who is the only country music reggae fusion artist. And Dr. Hildreth and I were at a benefit for the American Cancer Society recently, and he performed and he sang a song called Rumnesia, because he's from Jamaica. Yeah. And of course, when you drink alcohol, you get amnesia, but when you're in Jamaica, you get rumnesia. And it was kind of a nice tongue-in-cheek sort of fun song that kind of just reminded us, like, you really want to drink?
Yeah. Because he was a big, as soon as he kind of heard about it, he was very excited about the movement and what you guys were doing.
Yeah, he's been completely supportive. We look forward to continuing our relationship. He's our ambassador for Dry January USA, and more importantly, Meharry Medical College. He really wants more people to learn about Meharry and our mission and serving the underserved. And as we talked about earlier, alcohol is sort of an underserved, under-recognized part of the addiction spectrum that we really need to put more attention to.
Yeah, and you guys got mentioned in some international brands, and got the attention of them, and they've even put the spotlight on Nashville now because of what you guys are doing, and may have found a nice little corner in the USA for their market too.
No question about it. There's one brand in particular called Lyres, Lyres, and they make a great non-alcoholic Prosecco. It tastes just as good as any Prosecco if you like champagne or Proseccos. One of our great sponsors here in Nashville is Il Forno Restaurant. I think it's probably one of the best authentic Neapolitan restaurants in Nashville, and the owner there is from Naples, and when he tried this non-alcoholic Prosecco, he said to me, "Michael, this is a good Prosecco."
Did he have any idea it was not alcoholic?
You know, he did. He goes, that's what he would goes, and he shook his head. He goes, it is a very good prosecco. So the technological advances for Lyres and their prosecco is great, but they also make spirits, non-alcoholic spirits. So you can have an Amalfi Spritz or a Negroni that tastes just as good. And we're really pleased that they are sort of the official wine and spirit of Dry January USA, that they are excited to be working with Meharry Medical College, and they are going to make a really stronger presence over this next Dry January, and they're going to be launching here right out of Nashville. So it's really special. More when people hear that Dry January has a home, they're really excited about it. When they hear that it's a medical college, they love it. And then when they hear it's a historically black school, it's even more meaningful to people who are connected with Dry January in so many different ways. So we think this is going to continue to grow and help Meharry Medical College build a center for alcohol research and education and treatment, which
the Nashville's a good place to be. There's so many drunk people in downtown on Fridays and Saturday nights. Well, you never know who's going to stumble into that
the mission field is large here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we are the #1 capital for bachelorette parties, and one of the things we're concerned about with Dry January is sober shaming, as you said. Hey, come on, shots for everybody, and that wouldn't be great if some of the shots, could be a little different.
It's been said we're a drinking city with a music problem.
Yep.
And a lot of people have said that we're a drinking city with a music problem. And you hear that on Broadway.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting space to be in, because if you look at what's happening on Broadway every single night, there's hundreds, maybe even thousands of individuals that are experiencing that drunkenness.
Well, and
they're here to party.
In Tennessee, alcohol is built into the culture.
It flows.
The Whiskey Trail, we've got wineries everywhere. Just about every
breweries or so.
Just about every next step in a tourist attraction or a brand is to have an alcohol label alongside their brand. So, it is an interesting culture
really
thing as well.
Interesting though is, and I don't know if you know this, Michael, Prohibition was in this county for 100 years. So in 1909, the state of Tennessee banned alcohol, or the sale of alcohol. And then you have a lot of corruption with the sheriff and all this stuff, allowing bars to sell alcohol. And then basically for 100 years, Prohibition was in this county. In 2009, the state of Tennessee said, hey, counties, you guys have the decision of, do you want to allow alcohol sales and making of alcohol in your counties? Davidson County at that point said yes. And so basically since 2009, all of these alcohol brands have come to this area. The breweries, all of these different spirit makers and stuff. So there's just a lot of interesting history in the sense of alcohol here and alcohol consumption here in the county of Davidson County.
Which I think makes it a really good place to allow and offer those substitutions.
That's right.
Because it's so built into the culture. You're right. Nobody wants to sober shame, and to allow the opportunity for the industry of the non-alcoholic beers and spirits and all of those different drinks to find a home here too, I think is fantastic, because what a better market. There's probably not too many better markets to test it in.
That's right.
And see how their product may stand up against what's already here in Nashville.
You're hit upon the beauty of Dry January USA being in Nashville, because there is so much drinking here, and because so many of the people that choose these adult non-alcoholic beverages like the tastes of these alcohol. Who better to ask just to, maybe have one less alcohol and try some of these other products. So I think it is really the best place for it. And we're going to attract more people to Nashville, knowing that they're welcome to enjoy these adult non-alcoholic beverages that are going to become more and more common, I think, throughout the entire food and beverage industry here in Nashville.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe you'll have an attraction here in Nashville instead of maybe a whiskey line. Maybe they'll start off with a non-alcoholic whiskey line or a non-alcoholic line or something like that eventually.
Yeah,
which I think would be pretty cool.
That's right, and you don't have to be completely sober to enjoy these. You just that's it. But yet, for those who are and they want to have a great time, it's something for everyone.
Okay. Right. And then where can people learn more about Dry January?
Well, Dry January USA, Meharry Medical College. If you just to search that, you could find we're focused on research at meharryresearch.org. Instagram, LinkedIn, that's probably the best. Dry January _USA on Instagram. Please join us.
Awesome. Dr. Caldwell, thank you so much for coming on the show, talking about Dry January and Pink Jeep. We're excited for more updates, but thank you for joining us today and appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Just so grateful to all that you're doing for our community.
Thank you for watching the Nashville Daily Podcast and over at NashvilleDailyPodcast.com. Thank you for listening to the Nashville Daily Podcast. If you want to learn more, head to NashvilleDailyPodcast.com.
You can also follow us on social media at explore.nash on Instagram, Nashville Daily Podcast on YouTube, and explore.nash on YouTube as well.
The Nashville Daily Podcast is an Explore LLC production, copyright 2023.